This pattern shows up every single time before a housing crash, but is it going to have the same ending? Are these red flags like everyone's warning about, or could they actually be green lights? I've lived through 4 of these cycles, and I've helped individual homeowners through the 2008 crisis personally, and I've spent the time lining up the data side by side so you don't have to. So let's break down what's really happening and what's not. I'll show you exactly what the last 3 real crashes had in common, what's repeating today, and the crucial differences between then and now. Let's be real, people aren't crazy for thinking the crash is coming. I mean, how could they not? Every warning sign that showed up before the last big crashes is sitting right in front of us again. Home prices at record highs, mortgage rates doubled, sales from 30 to 40 years low, debt piling up. It's like the housing ran a marathon for 10 years straight, and now everyone's out of breath. And now headlines saying half the country seeing price declines. To most people, that feels like deja vu, like 2008 all over again. Here's what most people miss. They're not rooting for a crash. They just want the game to restart because it feels like they've been stuck on the bench for years. The truth is, millions of people, especially younger buyers, are just exhausted. They've been saving for years, watching prices climb faster than their paychecks, losing homes to investors or cash buyers. When a regular house costs $500,000 and you're still paying student loans, your brain says, no way, something's gotta give. That's not greed, that's human psychology, and honestly, I get it. Millennials and Gen Z age ranges have lived through 2 major housing downturns before they even hit their mid-30s. The 2008 financial meltdown and the pandemic. Many of us didn't screw up in a constant news cycle. We got our headlines maybe once a day, maybe twice, but the younger generations, they've spent their entire adult lives online where every scroll is another housing crash 2025 video or doom and gloom Reddit post. So of course they expect another collapse. It's like watching a horror movie on loop. Eventually you start believing the monsters are real. And that's the real story behind the crash talk. It's not just numbers. It's people feeling stuck, tired, anxious, and just wanting things to make sense again. So yes, the fear makes sense. The patterns look familiar. But before we call this the next 2008, we need to look at what those real crashes actually had in common. Because once you see those patterns, you'll see why what's happening right now in 2025 doesn't fit the script. When people say this feels like 2008 all over again, they're not wrong. The setup does look familiar. They're picking up on a pattern that's been there for almost every major housing correction in the US history. The surface signs repeat decade after decade, even when the underlying reasons are totally different. It's like seeing a storm of clouds and assuming it's a hurricane coming, but sometimes it might just be rain. So let's strip it down to what always shows up before a slowdown. Forget the noise, forget the panic headlines, forget the guys on YouTube with the red arrows pointing down. Here are 5 repeating patterns that make every era feel like a crash is coming. First, affordability collapses. Every time home prices race ahead of what people actually earn, buyers get left behind. In the 80s, people said maybe next year. In the 90s, same thing. 2008, same thing. And here we are again. Homes simply cost too much compared to what people earn. Second, borrowing costs spike. In the 80s, it was 18% mortgage rates. In the 90s, high single-digit rates dragged on for years. In 2008, adjustable loans reset and doubled people's payments overnight. Today, we've jumped from 3% to around 7%. Different causes, same result. It shocks buyers and freezes the markets. And the third, buyers pull back. Before every correction, sales volumes drop fast. It's not that people are dumping homes, it's that everyone's frozen, waiting for someone else to move first. Buyers wait, sellers hold out, and activity dries up. Fourth, certain regions start cracking first. Every cycle has its weak spots. The markets that run hottest are always the first to cool. In the 80s, it was the oil states. In the 90s, it was the Southwest. In 2008, it was Florida, Nevada, Arizona. And yep, in 2025, while national numbers are still somewhat resilient, those same markets, Florida, Texas, and Arizona, are the first to cool again. And finally, public fear takes over. Before every downturn, sentiment shifts from optimism optimism to anxiety. In the 80s, it was an inflation panic. In the 90s, mistrust of the banks. In 2008, the media turned every price drop into a breaking news. And today, it's YouTube thumbnails, Reddit threads, TikTok screaming, crash 2025. It's like we've traded newspapers for panic scrolls. Now, when you line those up side by side, the pattern's easy to see. That's why people are nervous, because all 5 of those boxes are checked right now. It's like watching a movie you've seen before. The first half feels the same, but this time the ending's a little different. All the ingredients are there. Higher costs, lower demand, fear in the air. That's why people assume the next chapter must be another crash. But here's where this story changes. The reasons behind those patterns, the stuff underneath, aren't the same this time, and that difference changes everything. Rates are high, affordability is shot, sales are slow, the fear is loud. That's how every real estate crash story starts. Those same warning signs show up before every slowdown too. The key isn't the pattern you can see on the surface, it's the foundation underneath, because when you dig into the details, what's happening right now in 2025 looks nothing like the crashes of the past. So let's line them up side by side and break down what's actually different. Look closely. The surface looks familiar, but the mechanics behind it are completely different. We're not dealing with bad loans, overbuilding, or mass job losses. We're building with high costs and frozen movements. So let's break that down. First, the lending quality. In 2008, if you could breathe, you could borrow. Back then, many new mortgages were being issued to borrowers with credit scores in the mid 600s, especially in the subprime market. Today, the average credit score for newly issued mortgages is up closer to the high 700s. Lending standards are much tighter now. So the system isn't built on risky loans anymore. It's built on responsible borrowers. No subprime surge, no liar loans, no house of cards waiting to fall. The second is equity. Homeowners today are sitting on record equity, roughly double what existed before the last crash. Now in 2008, millions owed more than their homes were even worth. Today, even if prices dropped 20%, most people would still have money left over. That's not built on debt, it's built on ownership. So in 2008, equity was like a thin mattress. One bad bounce and you hit the floor. 2025, it's a memory foam cushion. Back in 2008, total US homeowners' equity fell around $8 trillion and millions of owners were upside down on their mortgages. Third was the lock-in effect. More than half of the homeowners still have mortgage rates below 4%. They're not desperate sellers, they're comfortable. And here's the proof. Foreclosures are coming off historic lows. When you compare delinquency rates, it's like night and day, and the numbers back that up. The delinquency rate on single-family residential mortgages is just under 2% today, compared to a much higher levels during the crash era. Now, in short, even with today's higher rates, there's no wave of forced selling in motion. It's like musical chairs, but this time everyone already found their seats and they're not getting up. The ones moving now are doing it for lifestyle reasons. Downsizing, divorce, relocation, retirement, situations where life changes matter more than the market does. And a lot of them have built up so much equity, they can pay cash and put down huge payments. So the higher rates on smaller loan isn't really stopping them. That's also why the average homeowner today is older than they were before. They're the ones with the equity and the cash power to actually move, while younger generations are still locked out by affordability. So this isn't a market full of panic sellers, it's a market full of stable owners. In 2008, people sold because they had to. In 2025, people stay because they can, or sell because they want to. The fourth is supply. The 2000s were defined by overbuilding. Entire neighborhoods sat empty. Remember those ghost subdivisions in 2008? Rows of half-built homes baking in the sun. Back then, builders were overproducing by nearly 1 million units a year. Now, today, some analysts suggest we're underbuilding by at least roughly 3 million homes. Other estimates are much higher. It's the opposite problem, not an oversupply, but a chronic shortage. Builders learned their lesson, and the big ones now control supply like it's gold. And it's not just that we're behind on building, the industry itself has changed. A handful of massive national builders have consolidated the market, and they control a lot of the new construction pipeline. That gives them leverage over supply, pricing, and profit. So don't expect them to flood the market with new homes just to meet demand. They're in the business of profit, not charity. That's a whole other conversation, but the short version is we shouldn't count on new construction to fix the shortage anytime soon. And finally, jobs. Every crash needed a spark, a wave of layoffs that pushed people into default. Right now, unemployment is hovering around the low 4%. Wages are still growing and most homeowners are comfortable making payments. So when you add that up, strong borrowers, huge equity, limited supply, solid banks, steady jobs, it just doesn't add up to a crash. What we have is a market that's stuck, not sinking, too expensive for many to enter, too comfortable for homeowners to leave. It's not a collapse, it's a gridlock. A market frozen in place until rates ease and affordability catches up. And that's the real story behind the headlines. The same 5 patterns show up again and again, but this time the ending is different. So instead of a bubble about to burst, what we've got is a pressure cooker. Light supply, strong owners, and no spark to light it. Okay, so we're not headed for a 2008 style meltdown, but let's not sugarcoat it either. The market, it's got problems, big ones. The market's frozen solid. Housing turnover hits 30 to 40 year lows. Only about 28 out of every 1,000 homes changed hands this year. That's like the entire market stuck in park. When people can't move, they can't chase new jobs, new schools, new opportunities. That's not a crash, that's a freeze. And the reason it's frozen, affordability. And 2, the historic affordability meltdown. And nearly 75% of Americans say it's a bad time to buy. 86% of renters want to buy but can't. It's not a housing market, that's a lockout. And when buyers tap out, sellers lose power. 3, the confident crisis. Contracts are falling through at the highest levels in recent years. Builders are slashing prices, sellers are offering concessions just to get showings. The market's not collapsing, it's cooling. Everyone's waiting on everyone else to make the first move, and while the slow leak keeps pressure low, it's also draining energy from the economy. And number 4, the human component, the worst part, the mental strain. People are anxious, angry, burned out. The affordability wall isn't just numbers, it's emotional. When you spend half your income on housing, it's not just your wallet that hurts, it's your hopes. So if it's not a crash, but it's not a healthy market either, what do you actually do? Because I get it, sitting still doesn't feel good. Watching prices rise when rates jump feels like quicksand. If you're selling, focus on presentation and pricing, not panic. The homes that are moving right now, they're the ones priced realistically, not emotionally. It's not about finding one desperate buyer. It's about making your home look like it's the best deal among the competition. Small updates, cleaner spaces, neutral decor, those things matter more than ever. And remember, buyers today are cautious, not gone. So instead of asking, how do I sell fast, ask, how do I make the home the easiest yes on the block? And on the other side, if you're buying, I know how discouraging this feels to be priced out, but this slowdown, it's giving buyers their first real negotiation power in years. Ask for concessions, request repairs, let them come to you. And remember, you can always refinance later when the rates ease and if it makes sense for your budget, but you can't go back in time and buy the right home once it's gone. So if you find a home that fits your life and your budget, don't wait for perfect. Perfect doesn't exist, but opportunity does. And if you're not buying or selling right now, there's still something important to do. If you're staying put, use this time to get your financial house in order. Revisit your insurance coverage. Check your property taxes. Make sure all your home maintenance is up to date. You don't have to move to make progress. The people who come out ahead in every cycle are the ones who stay prepared. The goal right now is not timing the market, it's understanding it and making the next smart move when the moment's right. Every housing crash starts with fear, but fear alone doesn't cause a collapse. The truth is we don't have the ingredients for a crash right now. What we have is frustration. People who feel locked out, people who are tired of waiting, people who just want a fair shot. And that's what this whole story is really about. Not doom, not bubbles, not clickbait. It's about hope colliding with reality. People don't want a crash. They want affordability, the opportunity. They want to feel like the system still works for regular folks. So yeah, the market's tough right now. It's confusing, it's slow, it's exhausting, but it's also stable. It's holding together because underneath your frustration, homeowners are stronger, buyers are smarter, and the system's more stable than it's been in years. We don't need a crash to fix housing. We need clarity, consistency, and a little patience because this isn't the end of the market. It's the reset before the next chapter. If you don't mind, tell me if you agree with any of this or if you have a different idea on whether the signs are showing we are headed for a crash. I would love to hear your opinion and ideas. Now, if you like this video, let me know either by subscribing, leaving a comment, or even a thumbs up so I know this info is helpful to you. If you would like to get a hold of me, all my contact info is in the description below. Thanks for taking the time, and we'll see you in the next one.